All right, and we are live. Hello, happy Fridays Eve. I'm so excited to talk to you today. We're going to talk about very important topic. It's going to be fire. We are going to talk about how to secure income and career in tech. So, very important topic, and this is something that is very near and dear to my heart. So, we're going to talk about how to secure your high income and your career in tech. So, um, as you are joining, tell me where you're watching me from. And because it's Friday's Eve, right? It's Friday's Eve. Tell me what you're going to do this weekend. As for me, as for me, I'm actually going to Canada, and this is something that I started doing fairly recently. So, like last weekend, I went to Victoria, British Columbia, absolutely beautiful. This weekend, I'm going to Vancouver. So, share with me your weekend plans because we're not just here to work and talk about work and code and tech, right? We're here, we're human beings, right? Uh, we're here as we are, right? As human beings. So we're going to talk about as people are joining. We're going to talk about how to secure your um, income and your career in tech. So, three ways, and there are three ways to secure your career and your income in tech. So, the first way is start showing up and start showing up with your achievements. The second part that is important is your network. Start building relationship. And the third part is building your skill set. Right, three important parts. But I will also would like to give a little bit different twist to it because here's the thing. Here's the thing. There are three important parts to it. Absolutely. But also there are different seasons. There are different financial seasons in our career um, um, as software developers. Hello, Victor. Victor and I, we just connected. Happy to see you here, my friend. So there are different financial seasons in tech, right? And each season, it's important to focus what is important for that season for you, right? So we already established that three most important components to secure your career in tech, no matter which season you are in. It's your showing up authentically, right? Showing up as you are and sharing your opinion, sharing your perspective. And what I say, showing up authentically, showing up and sharing your perspective, I'm talking about content. And some people miss it. I'm talking about video content is the king. Video content is the king because when you're showing your face and showing your perspective and sharing your perspective, so you start developing know, like, and trust factor with people. So I know a lot of people are not comfortable with video, but trust me, it's not as hard. Pick up your phone and start talking about your craft because and start sharing your dopeness because y'all are so dope. Like I talk to a lot of people on my call, and I never have I ever talked to a shitty developer. Okay, so you're all dope, and you need to start sharing that. And even if you're not ready for video, posting on LinkedIn and participating in discussions is also important. So, which is like the component number two, building your network and building your skill set. But there are four major seasons in your uh, tech career. Four major seasons. And when I say seasons, I mean financial seasons. They're financial seasons, right? And they're seasons of maturity for you as a software developer. They're financial seasons, they're seasons of maturity. They're not always go side by side. Sometimes you can be ahead in terms of maturity, sometimes you can be ahead in terms of finances. So but the first financial season for you as a software developer is like, and when I share salaries, I share U.S. based salaries. So I'm sharing U.S. based salaries, and For different countries, it might be different numbers. But for US salaries, your first financial season is anywhere between 70K and 100K, meaning you just started with tech. You got your first, maybe a second job, right? So this is your first season. And in your first season, right, from 70K to 100K, it's really like what is important. It's important for you to establish your authority and to build your authority and show up as a subject matter expert in your industry. It doesn't matter that you just started a job. It doesn't matter that you just started in tech. You know your stuff. Like you have a job, you know your stuff, and this is very important at this stage, at this season in your in at this financial season. It's really important to sharing your perspective, sharing your opinions, and build your network, connect with recruiters, connect with the right people, establish your community, build relationship, because this is your you're building your foundation here. You are building your foundation, right? So at your first financial season from 70K to 100K, you're building your foundation. Uh, the- and in terms of the skill set, right? It's important to learn as much as possible. And it's important also to figure out your niche. What do you really want to do? Because your first job, right? Your first job doesn't have to be your career. There are different, like there are two different things, like your first job and your career, two completely different things. Your first job is your door into tech. My first job was a QA engineer, manual QA engineer. I'm a senior iOS developer when it comes to tech. I'm a senior iOS developer right now. So your first job doesn't have to be your career. Your first job doesn't have to be your career. But as you enter tech, as you land your first, second, maybe third job, figure out your niche, because riches are in the niches, okay, or in the niches. Find your niche, because the more niche you are, the more specialized you are, the more money you can make. The more niche you are, the faster you go over 100K, because not many people can do what you do because you have your niche, right? So, and learn as much as possible. And also, when I say learn as much as possible, learn as much as possible about your niche. So, this is your first priority. Find your niche and learn as much as possible about your niche. So, season number two, right? In the second season, from 100K to 150K, right? This is where normally it varies. Like and the second season from 100K to 150K, you're like mid-level, or you are entering more mid-level role, right? So um, what is important uh, it's important also share your perspective on the industry, not just, and when I say share your perspective, it's not just posting how to content, right? It's important to talk to your community, right? And about issues that aren't out there, right? Maybe like when you were just starting out, maybe you're starting out with how to tutorials, how to create a mobile app, how to create a web app, how to do hello world, what have you. But as you mature, as you becoming more mature developer, right, you gotta start talking about more mature stuff, because hello world after a certain point is not as interesting anymore, right? And like posting elementary problems, right? Like as you posted at the beginning, right? Like you can't really scale that much, right? You you post at the level of your maturity, and you elevate your content, you elevate what you're talking about, right? And it doesn't have to be solely on code, right? There's so many things you can share here on LinkedIn and in tech community. So, and um, building your network, right? Like building your community. Also, you want to like at that point, right, when you are like a little bit more mature, you already know what you like in tech, and you already what you don't like in tech. So for me, right, like I knew exactly what I like in tech, and um, I knew exactly what I like in tech, and I knew exactly what I didn't like in tech. For example, my first company, right? Like I didn't have such like a great experience, right? I didn't have such great experience, so I knew I would need a company with more progressive culture. So as I was interviewing on my second season in my career, I knew what I was looking for, right? And I was filtering companies based on that. And I was paying attention, very close attention to reviews on Glassdoor. So that was my that was my um, focus. And in terms of my skill set, right? I already knew my specialty. I already knew what I like. I already like uh, from my first season, right? Like from my first season, I already figure out what I want to do, and I already niche down in terms of iOS development. And my first niche was test automation with iOS, super niche, all the money, seriously, all the money. So I was absolutely happy, but I wanted to do more. I wanted to grow more. So I transitioned to iOS development. So the third season, and it's from 150 to 200K. So this is where you enter your senior leadership role, technical leadership, and this is a problematic season for a lot of software developers. Why it is problematic? Because okay, you pass 150K, right? You pass 150K. So normal, and again, it may differ. It may differ. Normally, after 150K, uh, you got your senior title, but after senior title, you ask yourself, what do I do next? What is after senior title? Well, staff engineer. What is after staff engineer? Where, well, possibly principal engineer. What is after principal engineer? Mm. Some people make a career change into management, right? Some people shift from like at the 150K to 200K, they make a shift to management. And a lot of people have this misconception that like when you transition to management, all of a sudden you will make more money. Not necessarily. Like not necessarily, because when you make this transition, right, from engineering to management, you change your career, and like that invisible ladder, right, hypothetical ladder, you all of a sudden middle manager, and you are seeing, and you are junior middle manager. If like if I have to create if I have to use like career ladder, right? So but also some people transition to technical leadership, right, like technical lead, or like maybe transitioning slowly to solution architect. And also, a lot of software developers get stuck in this season because they got all the senior titles in the world. What they can possibly learn, well, they can just learn new stuff in their specialty. And if they don't have a niche at that point, then the job search is extremely challenging because expectations of them is very high. And if they don't have niche, if they don't have specialty, if they don't have that one thing that they focus on, then it's really hard to show up at the interview and at a job. Like they there is a harder ramping up period, right? But like let's say they figure out their niche, right? Like back and mobile, mobile and healthcare, web and healthcare, and aviation, whatever it is. At some point, this is also like a period of burnout because nothing changes, right? You are like near 200, maybe like slightly over 200K at some point if you have a ton of experience, and nothing changes, but you want to grow, right? And I don't know, humans are such creatures that there's never enough money. If you're just doing tech for the money, right? There's never enough money. Right? At some point, like 200K is going to be not enough for you, right? Like if you keep making a lot of money, or like if you enter like I don't know, if you work at a main company, right, on that high level company, at some point, right, that salary is not necessarily enough, right? Like for your level, because your lifestyle is also changes. But what is after? What is after 200K? Well, after 200K, like after that season, and it doesn't have to be necessarily right after that season. Like if you want to keep growing financially, and if you want to keep growing as a person, right, and as a professional, well, there are two lanes, right? You can drive to C-suite leadership, right? Like very high level leadership, and make all the money there and deal with very like high level, very complex problems there. Or you can sway to entrepreneurship. And as an entrepreneur, there's really at that point there's really no limit. Like nobody can tell you how much money you can make as an entrepreneur if you do it right, if you do it right. And that can look in so many different forms, in so many different shapes. It can be creating digital course, it can be mentoring, it can be coaching, it can be creating your uh, shop development shop, right, and contracting with different companies, and um, well, kind of teaming up with other developers. So there are so many different ways, and then yeah, like there, at that point there's no limit to grow. But but here's where and you know, like you don't have to enter that phase. Let's say for entrepreneurship, you don't have to wait until you are like at you know between 150K to 200K. You don't have to wait until you're at that financial level, and that more so depends on the level of your maturity in terms of like your skill set, your craft as an engineer, and your personal maturity as well. And like it can happen, you know, like normally if you want to share your knowledge, if you want to share your expertise, no, normally like I would say after 3 5 years it's a good starting point to start sharing your expertise there, and expanding there. But even then, and this is where people get this is what people get wrong. Like they think if I can land a job, I will do freelancing. I will do entrepreneurship. But here's the thing: if you don't show up, if you don't build your relationship, if you don't learn the skill set, then it's going to be really hard, right, for you, right? Regardless, it's going to be a very hard and bumpy ride for you, regardless. So, um, and this is why it is important from your very beginning, from the very beginning, from your very first season, from like where you like from 70K to 100, start building your community, start sharing your perspective, start networking, and start building your skill set. This is why it is so crucial and it's so important. So let me pause right here. Do you have any questions or any thoughts? Because y'all quiet on me today. Don't get quiet on me today. So say something, like share your perspectives. Like this is the thing, right? This is the thing about LinkedIn. The more you active on LinkedIn, meaning you commenting, you reacting, you participating in discussions, then it actually helps your profile to be more discoverable. So think about what questions you might have for me, because I know it's a very I know I just dumped a lot of information on you, right? Like three ways to secure your career, and different seasons. And I know it's a lot, and I know you might have questions. So, like, give me your questions. Also, when it comes to executive presence, when it comes to building your community and learning the skill set, this is something that I help software developers in my coaching program. If you are interested, if you think, yes, I need help with executive presence, I need help with my technical skills, I need help building community, I need help building my network in the right way, like I don't want to apply for hundreds of jobs online, check the link in my bio or send me a message and let's chat about it. Let's chat about it. So because I'm more than happy to hear you, and I'm more than happy to help you. So what are some good ways to find that first job you're coming from a boot camp? This is an excellent question. So when you are coming from a boot camp, when you are coming from a boot camp, um, everybody cares about your experience that you can demonstrate, so your portfolio is important, right? You can build your portfolio, but also you need to build your experience. And as a software developer, right, uh, we are in a very unique specialty, we're in a very unique profession when we can create our experience. So you can you you can kind of jump ahead into more or less freelancing, or like when it's not really freelancing, it's about networking with other people and other businesses and ask them about what they like, what they need, and delivering those projects to them. So and when you do the job, or like if you're building your portfolio, right? Here's the thing with portfolios: a lot of people, when they build their portfolio, they build shitty portfolios. Nobody can use them. Instead of building another like list or CRUD application, create something that people can use. Create something useful. And doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be useful. And this is your experience. And find the people who can back you up and be your references. Like this is like building your experience, creating your experience. This is everything. So that's one way. And also like your executive presence, especially now, is super important. Video is the key. Video is the key. And if you're not ready for the video, start posting on LinkedIn 3 times a week. Well, preferably five, but like, hey, I'm being kind, 3 times a week. Stop showing up in people's feed. Start sharing your opinions. And even if you don't know the whole lot, you have to have opinions about tech. You have to have opinions about certain things that you're doing, and start sharing your perspective. And be consistent. Consistency is the key. And ignore likes and shares. Like, yeah, definitely, when people like your post, react on your post, like send them, like short thank you note, like, oh, like thank you for interacting with my content. And if they're not in your connection, connect with them. But this is my that would be my advice: building your experience and building your executive presence. So that's my advice. Yes, Jennifer, it is absolutely wonderful question, because this is the question that people ask me a lot. What do I do after boot camp? You start building your executive presence. You start building your executive presence. And this is something that I started doing when, because like I also graduated from the boot camp, right? And back then I didn't know how to network. I didn't know how to create content. I didn't know anything. I didn't know about LinkedIn algorithms, which also in my program, I teach my clients, I teach my students how to navigate LinkedIn algorithms. So your profile goes up and you're searchable and you're discoverable. So, um, but what I did, I I placed my resume literally everywhere. And I would talk to every recruiter possible when they reach out to me. I would go on lunch. I would reach out to them. I would I would get in touch with them as much as possible. And LinkedIn was not as powerful at that time. It was 2016, so LinkedIn was not that powerful at the time. But that what helped me. So like, let me know if it helps, if it resonates. But like this is what what I should do. I would start thinking immediately, how do I build my expertise? How do I build my executive presence? And how do I build my experience? So uh, I appreciate your questions. If you have any questions, thoughts, so like before I wrap up, let me know. We have an amazing string. So um, like I said, thank you so much for your participation. Thank you so much for your questions, for your comments, for being here, for your reactions. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you want to work with me, if you need help, I have paid coaching program. The link is in the bio. So fill out the form, and I will get in touch with you and we can talk, or send me a DM. So thank you so much. I will talk to you later. Enjoy your Friday, and I will try to do my best to post a video from Canada. So our newsletters good content. So before I go, before I go, excellent question, Jennifer. Newsletters, like, so what newsletters do? When you create a newsletter, it will, like, it's good awareness tool of you. So it will send email to your connections. It will send an email to your connections. It's basically like LinkedIn newsletter and um, uh, an email newsletter at the same time. So like they're there there are software tools where you can build your email list and set email to people, yada yada yada. So I'm not going to go into it, but similar thing, right? Like it will send email to people, and it will also send notification to your connections about your newsletter. So it is a good awareness tool. So and this is definitely, you can share your updates. So what how I use it, I keep my community up to date, what is coming in on my profile, what is coming in my pipeline. You can share your expertise and knowledge in newsletter, let's say, and you know, you can post it once a week, you can post it once a month. So like it's entirely up to you. I do it every week, like, or at least I try to be consistent with it, and I do it every week. So but like it is good. But in terms of the algorithms, right? Newsletters, like they don't rank as high in terms of the algorithms. So good awareness tool, I would recommend you to have that. Like it's a good idea to have that. But your relevant content, your post that you do every day count, because you will pop up in people's feed, and participating in comments and in discussions is also count. So like if you have to choose, like let's say your goal is to show up and show out and build your community, and you have time and resources only for one, either posting on LinkedIn regularly at least 3 times a week, or preferably 5 times a week, or do a newsletter, post on LinkedIn 3 times a week or 5 times a week. This is better return on investment than newsletter. Then do newsletter. So that makes sense. Thank you. And like, thank you, Andrew, for your question. So like we have really amazing live stream today. So I was gonna go and wrap up, but you keep you keep your questions coming. I like that. So my DMs are open. Like, send me a message. Check out the link. And join my coaching program if if you need help with executive presence and technical skills. Yeah, thank you so much, Indra. I appreciate you being here. So like, and we have amazing community. So Jennifer is in my community, is in my coaching program. So she can attest to that. So, and I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. And I will see you next week on Monday. And on Monday, we are going to talk about, uh, on Monday, we're going to talk about three ways you can stand out as a software developer. Uh, would you be open to looking at? Yeah, send me your portfolio. I can glance at it and tell you what I think. Yeah, absolutely. Like, shoot me a message. All right. Thank you. I'll see you later. Bye, y'all.